Hello and good evening, everyone. This is the first YouTube channel series of the Ultimate Car News. This I am going to start off with the ultimate best of Auto Express. This is a magazine where I inspire cars through one of the magazines that I'll read, and obviously one of the books that I train from. So I'm going to start off with the Auto Express. The Auto Express explains a lot about the cars of the future yet to come. We are going to start off by explaining the front cover. Auto Express have really got it in the bag. So obviously, as you could see, there is a Range Rover or Land Rover, the brand new Defender, which is kind of a big jump for Land Rover. Actually makes it look like a little bit like a Range Rover, but obviously because it's the same make, owned by BMW, also Jaguar, and also Mini and all that lot, so it's all in one big circle. Yes, I do not mind it. Land Rover Defender SVR is back, but obviously they've made a SVR, which is a bit of a jump for the Land Rover Defender. But also we have the wide range of SUV. If you've got my Snapchat, I've obviously read about the brand new Nissan Juke, which personally, Nissan Juke, they've really not thought of things well within the Nissan society. So, so with that as well, we have the brand new, Range Rovers and the brand new SUVs rivals, which are the BMW 4x4s, which is meaning the X1, X2, X3, X4, X5, X6, X7. All the rest of the X's may be turned into GT lines instead of M. So it would be M Performance, it would be M this and that and this and that. But obviously BMW really got it in the bag this year, and obviously next year will be a big different because they're going to change the BMW i8. I'll show you that in a later episode. We are going to also start off with the Ultimate SUVs. This is the SUV challenge. So this, I'll be talking about all the SUVs you can ever think of. Aston Martin, yes, Aston Martin. There is a big thing about Aston Martin next year. They have got the Ultimate Aston Martin SUV coming out next year, which is really happy. But personally, I think it'll ruin Aston Martin. Not because, I love Aston Martin. Aston Martin have really thought about it and put a lot of effort into it. But Ford have really gone ahead with it. Aston Martin have told Ford, do you know what I mean? We want something big, and we haven't done that in a while. And Ford have said, obviously, you need to do an SUV. Aston Martin only thought about this last year, which was meaning 2016, where they came out with the Lagonda, and then that didn't turn out well. It was meant to be a 4x4, but it turned out to be an electric car and a saloon, so he kind of failed when he designed it, and bits went on. So I'm going to move on with the new design of the Audi Q7. Starting off with the Audi Q7. The Audi Q7 is mainly one of the best SUVs of Audis you can ever think of. Came out before any of the other SUV. Then they came out with a Q5 in 2011 or 2010. Yeah, 2010. So they came up with the 2010 Q3. Q5 came bit of a different step between Audi and the rest of its rivals, meaning Seat and Skoda and all the rest of them. So Volkswagen, put it straight, Volkswagen have got the ultimate big circle sort of thing. They have got Volkswagen, Audi, hence why it's called the VAG Group. VAG Group owns a very much variety of different cars, as they own Volkswagen, Audi, Bugatti, Bentley, Porsche, Seat, Skoda, and the ultimate BMW, Mercedes. So it's all one big circle. They even own motorbikes. So Volkswagen is a big company where they own literally half the car population. We are going to move on with the design of the new SUVs. The SUVs are becoming a bit more boring, wouldn't you say? Yeah, so SUVs are becoming a bit more boring, but we have time to change it. We really do have time to change it. It's only 2019, but towards the end of 2019, it's going to get serious. It's going to get bigger, and obviously the car companies are getting together. We need to make more SUVs. This is not happening. More terrain, climate change is changing, and obviously SUVs are a big issue right now. As you know, Ferrari, if you've watched my snap within the past few months, I did produce a Ferrari. If you haven't been aware, I did produce a Ferrari SUV in 2014. I wish I could show you the picture, but I ain't got it anymore. So, obviously, with that Ferrari, I made it exactly like an SUV. I put massive wheels on it. I put a big dashboard in it. I put loads of the electronics in, made sure it had different differentials and different climate suspension, different downforce onto the ground, and made sure it's risen as soon as it hits the road. So it's different terrains, different sport modes, different modes of the car itself. During the process of this year, Ferrari thought of the idea. They had a word with Lamborghini. Lamborghini got a bit annoyed because they were just smug face into Ferrari's face, saying, "Oh, we've got an SUV," and then Ferrari came up with this. So Ferrari have really got it in the bag next year, due to their new SUV coming out, which is a bit of a different variety for Ferrari. As personally, I thought it was a brilliant idea for Ferrari to make a massive, big deal out of SUVs. Obviously, as you could tell, I am moving back to the Land Rover Defender. As you know, during the 1940s, 1930s, we had the first Defender, and it was made by Willys. Try not to laugh. But that was the name of the car, Willys Jeep, and then Range Rover came over and said, "Look, can we trade it?" So they had their word, and then, so obviously with that, we have the brand new Range Rover or Land Rover Defender. With that, we also have bits and bobs to set on with the Mercedes AMG, with the Mercedes AMG G-Wagon. Obviously, it's a bit of a different step. During 2014, they came up with a 6x6, which I thought was a bit bizarre. But then Ford came in, and then they said, "We like the idea of that. Can we steal it?" Mercedes went, "Yeah, you need to pay a fair price for it, though." So Ford just whacked a Mercedes chassis and just whacked an F-150 on it. and then stuck 6 wheels in it. That's all they've done. Nothing special with Ford. But Ford have really got it in the bag this year. But obviously with the Range Rover Discovery, the brand new Range Rover Discovery, that's a big difference. Discovery, Defender, Evoque, Sport, Vogue, and also the big difference of Land Rover and Range Rover mixed together. Jaguar and BMW have teamed up with this sort of thing for Range Rover to become. To be honest, Land Rover have thought about this for a good couple of years. They thought the Defender was a bit, old, but they had a look at it. They revised it. They said, right, this Defender, we need to make it more like a Defender, but newer. So Jaguar came out with a part. Let's make it slick. So they made it slick. BMW came in, whacked a roof on it, and said, look, I know it's a bit square, but that's what the Range Rover or Land Rover Defender was. It was a bit square, as you know. During the 1950s, Defender came out. Defender made it all the way through until the end of 2014. Then they stopped it for a bit. They said, right, let's cut it off because we need to come up with a new bloody shape. So, more or less, they came up with a new shape. They came up with the ultimate Range Rover or Land Rover Discovery, which is there. That is the brand new Land Rover or Range Rover Discovery or Defender. So it's the SVR version as well. So it's going to be sporty. It's going to have a slick look. The normal Defender was a bit of a different step for Land Rover as opposed to it being more common, stylish, and also a bit boxy. With the, as you could tell with the interior, it's got a different steering wheel. It's got a different differential for the whole car. They've came up with the engine. They said, make it a different car because we can't be bothered. You know what I mean? I'm gonna move on with the Volvo. The Volvo is a big car to make. Volvo, Audi have really put it in there. Volkswagen have really said, can we make this Volvo a little bit more electric? Audi said yes, came up with this, good idea. Personally, don't like the backlights, reminds me of a Nissan Juke. So, as you could tell, look, that is just a Nissan Juke right there. It's actually a Volvo, but looks like a Nissan Juke. And personally, I do not like the back of it. Front of it, meh. It's alright. Volvo have really got it in the bag this year though. Volvo are coming up with their new coupe. Coming up with their new bits and bobs. EV means hybrids, which is axle face and axle body, axle this, axle that. And Volkswagen and Audi have really got it in the bag. They collide it all in together as one. And it's just, they're mad thinking, what can we do? We move on to the process of Skoda. The new look of Skoda is coming to a big step. Volkswagen have also thought these sketches look amazing, immaculate. And Audi said, yeah, they're alright. But they eventually got Audi's persuasion and said, look, if you don't like it, bog off. That's all you could say. And obviously Audi backed away. They said, look, love it. So they came up with this. This isn't my design, but obviously, as you could tell, it's from a magazine. The Skoda Octavia looks a bit like that. This is a saloon car and it's not an SUV, which is surprisingly because this episode is about SUVs. This car is a bit different. The Skoda Octavia is a little bit sporty. Meant to be a saloon car, but it's still quite fast. You have up to round about 300 brake on these things. On these things, you have about 300 to 400 brake, which is a bit different for Skoda. Skoda have really thought about it this year and next year. For the time being, Volkswagen have really said, let's push the boundaries for this car. This Skoda Octavia is looking immaculate. If they're not going to have a sporty car, why make it sporty and not make it fast? So they had that. They had bits and bobs like that. It's all about the performance and the drive time for cars. We also move on to the Lexus. The Lexus LC convertible was spotted out in the open just a few weeks ago. The Lexus LC is basically a Lexus LFA, the brand new one, but is just a convertible version, and they've really mucked it up. So, my idea is to look at the Lexus LC convertible and say, nah. But that's my opinion. But opinions come here, they come here, and they just come a bit everywhere. Next, move on to the brand new Mazda SUV. The future-proof electric Mazda SUV was revealed just a few weeks ago. This has the MX-30's prices, and obviously it's coming in as a bang. The new Mazda have really got it in the bag this year. Same with Volkswagen. Wasn't made by Volkswagen, but that is what it looks like. But yeah, so it's a bit different. We also move on to the big process of the new BMW. The new BMW, as it were, the iNext. Yes, you heard that right. It's called the iNext. And that is a big name for BMW because it sounds weird for an SUV. One of the big I series, as you have the i3, the i8, and obviously now you have a black silhouette of an SUV. They don't know what it's called, but we do because it's BMW iNext. The iNext looks a bit like this, but obviously it's a little bit like OTT, over the top. So it's a bit over the top with BMW and their grille at the moment. As you could tell, the BMW grille is a bit OTT. In my opinion, when I designed my own car for BMW, the M10 and the M10 GTS, that was a big difference within BMW. It was fully electric, was the ultimate 2000 brake horsepower electric car that I was potentially going to make, but obviously it never happened. But we move on to the big SUVs with Audi, Jaguar, Volkswagen. Volkswagen have even got their new SUV coming out. They've got their big car that's coming out, which is the Tiguan, Touareg. They've also got the T-Roc now. They've got the T-Cross, and then they've got the big SUV range, which is funny because they have a wide selection now. They don't just have two cars, which was just a bit appalling. Volkswagen said we need more than 2 cars in SUV range. So they picked out quite a few cars and they said, look, get designing. Audi stuck their nose in, said, look, you've got to make a smaller SUV because we're not the only ones. Like, do you know what I mean? Volkswagen turned around and they said, right, okay, right, have a go at us, and then we'll see what we could come up with. So they came up with a T-Cross. They came up with a T-Rock as well. We also move on to the big cars, as well as the new Corvette. The new Corvette Stingray. As it were, the new Corvette Stingray was a bit like, it's nice, and I love the new Corvette Stingray. This one, as a matter of fact, is bigger and better and a bit more sporty. This one is called the C8. Corvette C8 looks a bit like that. That is a Corvette C8, and if you do not like it, but everyone has their own opinion, but if you do not like it, I have no problem, because I reckon looks a bit more modern and a bit more, bit more relaxing. With a Corvette, you want to feel dangerous, you want to feel hard, you want to feel like, you want to feel bits like this, you want to feel, yeah, I got this. With this, you just feel, yeah, I like driving around in this. That is what you would feel if you had one of these Corvettes. The C8 is a big difference to the Corvette Stingray. The Corvette Stingray was a big jump from the 1960s Corvette Stingray, 1967 Corvette Stingray. They brought it back during 2014. They even copied the old little Stingray on the side of the car and called it the Stingray again. This C8, the Corvette C8, has a variety different ways of explaining itself. The price starts around about £80,000, and the top speed is about 194 miles per hour, which is a little bit slower than the Corvette Stingray. Has 24 miles to the gallon, and it's just one of the big cars to say, like, I like this, but it's not my type of Corvette. Like, it's not like me. It's not the car that you could say, yeah, this was built by Ford. This was built by a traditional Ford company. But it's Hennessy is really getting it in the bag as well. They're coming up with their new cars, and they're just taking old cars like the previous one they took from the Chevrolet Corvette, which is the Camaro SS. They just stuck an SE badge on it, and then made it go 1,000 brake horsepower. But that's a price range. To get up to 60 miles per hour is 2.8 seconds in this Corvette C8, which is, for me, pretty quick to get up to 0 to 60. That is about minute seconds slower than the Bugatti Chiron. All the cars these days thinking, look, we need to get to where the Chiron is. Personally, I don't think any car would get to that speed. 304 miles per hour, nearly 305 miles per hour. That is a big difference. To get to that speed is immaculate. To halt at that speed within 42 seconds is a big difference. So from 0 to 400 to 0 within 42 seconds, that car is just a big difference. We will go through the Bugatti Chiron once, everything's all done, and obviously it's like, you know, a big difference. We're going to also move on to the bits and bobs of Aston Martin. And as I said, Aston Martin came up with a new SUV not so long ago, and obviously I like it personally. If you don't know what it looks like, go into Google, search it up, Aston Martin SUV. Does look immaculate, and obviously it does look a bit more big, as it were. But you know, that's my opinion. But the biggest thing is the SUV range is getting a bit more out of hand this year. SUV have really gone in the bag, really coming out with it. Range Rover, Land Rover, Jaguar, BMW, Ferrari, Lamborghini, and obviously Lamborghini have got their new Urus. Be coming up with a new Lamborghini that is smaller but still an SUV. Do not know what it's called though, but will be continuing within the next 2 years. The next one is obviously the Mitsubishis, and they're coming out with the CVs, the CRVs, and obviously Maserati, they've got it in the bag as well. Big cars like the 4KA Plus, which is becoming a big issue within the Ford company, because it's becoming as a big car as an SUV. The KA is no longer a little small Beetle thingy majiggy that's just sitting, laying there getting rotten, sort of thing. So it's becoming an SUV, beautiful, gleaming into an SUV. So it's becoming from this little bug into a big SUV. That is what the KA is meaning for. That is what we are looking for the KA within the next 4 years. KA is going to ever get so slightly bigger within the 4 years, which is what we want. MG, for as a matter of fact, as we know, MG is back, as they came back in 2014. MG have came up with a brand new car, which is the brand new SUV. MG HS is a little bit dainty, but a little bit boring at the same time. It is quick and it is comfortable to sit in, because it's an MG made by the British, and obviously it's a good car. But you know, moving swiftly on with a new Mercedes have really got it in the bag this year. They even got the car that talks to people. Yes, you heard me right. Mercedes have got a car that is coming out within the next 4 years that halts in the middle of the road, lets people know that it's coming. What's the point? What is the point? Can't you just have a car to say, like, you know, do this and do that? That is basically what Mercedes is doing. They came up with a car which it's a good idea, but not so much of a good idea. It's quite dangerous. You speak to the car, it changes colour when you speak to it, speaks to you back. It's a bit like KITT, the KITT car from, you know, but it's just like, you know, just a big jump for Mercedes, don't you think? Just a bit more OTT. With the new Ford Focus Active as well, that is becoming a big 4x4 SUV, as it were. The Ford range is coming up with the Active. The Active is meaning small SUV but big car. Like, do you know what I mean? It's not bit of a saloon, yeah, and an SUV mixed together. It's not that great, but obviously I do. Range Rover, as we were talking about, the first of this programme, of this episode, was a bit dainty. They've got their new Discovery out, and they've also got their new Evoque out, which is, I love the new Evoque. The new Evoque looks amazing. it's one of those things where they've copied something and said, I like that. That's amazing. Jaguar had a look at it and they said, yeah, I like that. So yeah, it's all about different opportunities. Porsche yet again, they're coming out with a new SUV. Porsche are always coming out with new cars. Their 918 Spider. That's basically their hypercar, and then making it into an SUV sort of thing. Don't know, but sort of like that. But you know, it's what you can make of it. And then you have the Audi Q4 e-tron. The Audi Q4 e-tron, they brought out the Audi e-tron, which was a bit futuristic. The door mirrors are not like normal door mirrors. They're like slick, and then they have two little cameras on the end. Please tell me, Audi, why did you do that? That is a big question. Why? Why did Audi do that? Why couldn't they just stick normal door mirrors on, be a normal car company? Audi like to be difficult. As they go by the Quattro, they go by everything. As it were, we have the new Tesla Model Y. We also have the new Mercedes GLB, Audi e-tron Sportback, and obviously Alfa Romeo Tonale and Land Rover Defender. Capria for Formonte. The Capria is basically a Seat, but with a different badge. They said, fuck it, let's just take a Seat, stick a different badge on it because we can't be arsed. And then we have the Ford Puma. The Ford Puma was little car, like the Ford KA. They made it into a big SUV. Making all these cars into an SUV, which is a bit, hello, like, do you know what I mean? It's not big issue. Nissan Juke is coming out with a bang, but it's not my kind of flavour. But moving on swiftly, we have the ultimate big deal with the Nissan Juke, as opposed to it coming out within the next year or so, or the next few months. Nissan really put their ideas into it. Personally, I don't think they have, but you know, but that is the first episode. Unfortunately, I will have to end there of the end of the SUV range on the Ultimate Car News. That is the Ultimate Car News. Next episode, we'll be talking about the saloons, big cars that I've designed, and obviously we've got still loads more to come, like the hot hatches, the past, present and future cars. We also have a lot to talk about: Jaguar, Volkswagen, Audi, BMW, the works. If you please like my channel, click the thumbs up and also subscribe. That would be a really big help. Thank you. Thank you for watching the Ultimate Car News. This is a conclusion. See you later.